Thinkers, Beliefs and Buildings. Theme 4. This is the chapter that we are going to start today. This is chapter number 4 of History, class 12. So here learners would go on a long journey over thousands of years to know about the philosophers and their efforts to understand the world they inhabited. It is a matter to know how their views were managed, whether oral or written. It will show the enduring effect on the people, whereas it would be focusing on the Buddhism. It is to be remembered that traditions were not developed in separation, as there were many traditions and each of them were engaged in debates and discussions with others. Buddhist, Jain and Brahmanical texts were the sources that the historians used to reconstruct the exciting world of ideas and beliefs. So this is just the introduction about the chapter. So as we move on to the chapter, the first thing that comes as a topic was or is a glimpse of Sanchi. So there is a small source which is given in your book, Sanchi in the 19th century. So to begin with, you just take down a question for this source. The question is, where were the most ancient buildings located in Bhopal state? How was the eastern gateway of the stupa of Sanchi saved from being taken away? So as we look into the source, we came to know that the most wonderful and ancient buildings are at Sanchi Kanakhera, a small village under the brow of a hill some 20 miles northeast of Bhopal. Europeans in the 19th century itself were very much interested in the Sanchi stupa. Eastern gateway of this stupa was in a very good condition and was the center of special attraction for foreigners. The French wanted to preserve it in a museum in France. That is why they sought permission from Shah Jahan Begum. For a while, the Englishmen also made such efforts. However, fortunately, both the English and the French were satisfied with the plaster cast copies. Okay, in this way, original remained at the site. So this is just a story being how we contained the Sanchi, or how the Sanchi was saved from being taken away. In a very simple way, we can say that the French and the English people both were eager to take away this, but with the wise act of the Shah Jahan Begum, we are able to see Sanchi Stupa standing in Bhopal. So now the question that arises is how the Begum of Bhopal was successful in preserving the stupa at Sanchi. So here we will be talking about the contribution that Shah Jahan Begum made to preserve the stupa at Sanchi. So the contribution of Shah Jahan Begum and her successor Sultan Jahan Begum was praiseworthy in the preservation of stupas at Sanchi. So we can take their contribution, or we can note their contribution in a few points. For example, first of all, they donated money for the upkeep of the stupas at Sanchi. That means they give huge fund, in order to look after the Sanchi. Then Sultan Jahan Begum, she also contributed a lot of money for the erection of a museum and a guest house, so that instead the people try to take it out from our country, what did she do is she just say that let us build one guest house around this, so that whoever comes here, they stay there, they watch it, they praise the building and they can leave. But no one talks about taking it to their country. Then John Marshall, who lived in that guest house, wrote many books. He dedicated some of the important books on Sanchi to Sultan Jahan Begum. Thus, the stupas survive due to the wise decision of the Begums of Bhopal. So now we are on page number 84, second topic of the chapter, the background, sacrifices and debates. So for this you take down a question. The question is, why the mid-first millennium BCE is regarded as the turning point in the world's history. So as you can see that it is often regarded as a turning point in the world history because it saw emergence of thinkers such as Zoroaster in Iran, Kongzi in China, Socrates, Plato and Aristotle in Greece, and Mahavira and Gautam Buddha among many others in India. Now these people, they try to understand the mysteries of existence and the relation between human beings and cosmic order. This was the time when new kingdom were emerging in Ganga Valley. Social and economic life was changing. All these people or all these thinkers were trying to understand this development as well. 2.1, the sacrificial tradition. So the term sacrificial comes from the word sacrifice itself, means to sacrifice something, and the tradition of sacrificing or giving sacrifice is not a new practice. It was practiced long time ago. So for this you can take down a question, that is, what was the sacrificial tradition in ancient age in India? So now the tradition of thoughts, religious beliefs and practices were already existing from early age. This is mentioned in Rig Veda, compiled between 1500 to 1000 BCE. Now Rig Veda is a collection of hymns in praise of many deities, especially Agni, Indra and Soma. Some of these hymns were chanted at the time of sacrifice and people prayed for cattle, sons, good health and long life. Now earlier sacrifices were performed collectively, but later on some of them were performed by the head of the households. Some more elaborate sacrifices were performed only by chiefs and kings. And sacrifices of Raja Suya and Ashvamedha were included in it. They had to depend upon Brahmana, that means a priest, to conduct such rituals. So after such ritual, there were some questions which were put up by the society or the thinkers. That is, was this sacrifice really necessary, or was it worthy enough? Was the tradition or the practices which were practiced during their time was good enough? Okay, so you can take down a question, that is, explain the importance of new questions and debate that began from 6th century BCE regarding Vedic traditions and practices of sacrifices. So what are we going to study here is whether this type of traditions, Vedic traditions, practices of sacrifice, was it very important? And if it is important, then why? That means here will be lots of debate. Many thinkers will be supporting the sacrifices, supporting the Vedic traditions, whereas many thinkers may not support this type of thinking or traditions. So let's see. Now the Upanishads are known as the texts of the Vedic tradition, or it's a book where all the things are written about Vedic traditions. They were the storehouse of new ideas. They show that people were curious to know the meaning of life. Now all these people were eager to know about the philosophy of life after death and rebirth. The issues of rebirth and the past deeds were hotly debated. All the Vedic thinkers were concerned to understand and express the nature of ultimate reality. A few thinkers outside the Vedic traditions were also raising the questions whether the ultimate reality was singular or plural. The people also started to speculate the significance of the sacrifice or sacrificial traditions. That means the people also started to ask whether this sacrifice is really necessary or does it gives us a result. So all these things were being asked after the sacrifice or when the sacrifice was conducted. And these questions were asked not to ordinary people, but these questions were asked to the brahmanas, the priest and all. Or after questioning the Brahmin about the importance of sacrificial traditions, many debates and discussions started. Okay, and this is our next topic, 2.3, debates and discussion. All these things arose because of questioning the Brahmanas about the importance of the traditions and sacrificial practices that was prevailing during 6th century. So take down a question for this. Around 6th century BCE, any particular sect could grow and shrink over time. So explain the statement by giving proper reasons. That means here we are going to study that during this century, any sect can grow and any sect can go or vanish over time. How can one say that, or how can you prove that this is correct? So in this part, you are going to see that there is a mention of around 64 sects or schools of thought in the contemporary Buddhist text. We get a glimpse of lively discussions and debates from these texts. We came to know that the teachers traveled from one place to another trying to convince each other and common masses about the validity of their philosophy and the way in which they understood the world. These people moved around not to teach new things, but they wanted to teach what they understand about their life, what they understand about the world, okay, to ordinary people. So this debate generally took place in a hut that is known as Kutha Grahashala, okay. Now or in the groups where traveling teachers stayed. Now these are the places which are basically meant for this type of teachers who come from different places in order to teach about the philosophy of life. If any teacher or philosopher succeeded in convincing one of his rivals, then the follower of his rivals become his disciples. So it was a real challenge. This is why with the time, support for a particular sect could grow and shrink over time. So from this small part, we came to know that if a person is unable to convince anyone, that means his prophecy or his sect will be gone. And if there is a teacher who is able to teach one or to change the thinking of someone and was able or is able to bring out his philosophy, there will be many disciples. So this is our third topic. Under this, you can take down a question. Describe the Tirthankaras of Jainism. Discuss their main teachings about Jainism. So Jainism has 24 Tirthankaras. So here we will discuss not all the 24, but just the first, 23rd and 24th. The first one is the Rishabhnath. Okay, he was the first Tirthankaras of the Jainism, and according to that tradition, he was a king. He left his throne for his son named Bharat. The next one, or the 23rd one, is the Parshavanath. So he was the 23rd Tirthankara of Jainism. He was the son of Ashafsen, the king of Kashi. He renounced the world at the age of 30. He attained true enlightenment after a deep meditation for only 3 months. He spent the rest of his life as a Dharam Guru, and at the age of 100 he attained Nibbana. Then the 24th and the last Tirthankara of Jainism was Vardhaman Mahavira. He was born at Vaishali in the 6th century BCE. His childhood name was Vardhaman. The name of his father was Siddhartha and the name of his mother was Trishala. He was married to Yashodhara when he was quite young and was blessed with a son. He left his house at the age of 30 and practiced penance for many years. He attained enlightenment at the age of 42. He spent the rest of his life in preaching religion. He attained Nibbana at the age of 72. So here we are going to study the teachings of Jainism and Tirthankaras. The religion that the Tirthankaras preached came to be known as Jainism. The main teachings were as follows. Okay, number one is Tri Ratna. According to Jainism, the ultimate aim of human life is the attainment of nirvana or salvation. There are three means to attain this nirvana: pure knowledge, pure character, and pure philosophy. These three principles of Jainism are known as Tri Ratna. Then the next teaching is believe in penance. The followers of Jainism believe in asceticism and penance. They gave more and more torture to their bodies. They believed that salvation could be achieved by giving more and more pain to the human body. Then the third one is non-violence. Jainism has emphasized ahimsa or non-violence in life. The followers of this religion believe that all things of this world are animate, means are given life or have life. So they considered it a sin to cause any injury to any human being, animal, plant, or insect. Point number 4 is no faith in God. The followers of Jainism do not believe in God, though they accept its existence. They worship their Tirthankaras in place of God. Now, no faith in Vedas. The disciples of Jainism do not consider the Vedas as having divine knowledge. They do not consider the means of salvation mentioned in the Vedas as important. They believe that yajnas were futile. Then believe in soul. The followers of Jainism accept the existence of soul. According to them, soul is immortal. Though it is in the body, yet it is distinct and different from the body. Then number 7 is that no faith in caste system. The followers of Jainism do not believe in caste or caste system. According to them, all the people are equal. No one can be high or low on the basis of caste. Now, next is believe in the theory of karma. According to Jainism, again, the cycle of birth and rebirth is shaped through karma. The next birth depends on the deeds done in the present life. So, we should perform good deeds. Now, according to Jainism, next is the attainment of salvation. And salvation means that the soul should be free from the bond of karmas. When the cycle of karma ends, the individual attains salvation. Then point number 10 or teaching number 10 is emphasis on righteous conduct. Mahavira inspired all his disciples and followers to lead a high world life. He advised all to be aware of anger, greed, jealousy, theft, and unethical deeds.